That's what this podcast is all about. We're going to be touching on all today. We're going to talk about mobility. And you are here with the Mobility
Mobility
Bros.
Bros.
What's up, bro? How you feeling?
It's good. This is episode Thress.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it's awesome, man. And today's topic is going to be about the pros and cons of foam rolling, and Clif is going to explain. It's going to go through some of his experiences. I'm going to share some of my experiences. I do have some show notes here. I got from Philip Woods Physiotherapy. So I'm going to be reading off some of that. It's going to talk a little bit about some fun facts I got from that as well. Definitely want to share what I got going on, and Philip and Cliff really wanted me to share. So I know in some of the past episodes I talked about I was going to be starting at UConn.
Yeah, you talked about that in episode. Congratulations.
My first day, I worked with the in the morning I worked with women's hockey, and then in the afternoon I worked with the football team.
How was that experience?
Oh, it was awesome, man, and it was interesting because I actually looked at my supervisor and I said, "This is kind of a weird situation because anytime I've ever worked with a group of athletes on that level, it's always been voluntary, right? So here I am, I'm getting paid to do this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm getting paid, and it's good money, right? I'm getting paid good money to be here, to work and provide value to Division I athletes, which, in my eyes, they're almost one level down from being professionals for some of those folks,
Definitely.
So yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it, and what I love about it is I'm not just going to be working with one type of athlete. I could be working with hockey. I could be working with football. I could be working with basketball. I could be working with track and field when that starts coming up in the beginning of the year. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So what did you find you had to work on with some of these kid athletes, these younger, athletes that are playing these high levels? Was it mobility? Was it shoulder? What type of things did you see?
So in the football and the women's hockey, they actually requested a lot of the same stuff, which was surprising.
Interesting.
I was thinking like with women's hockey, it was going to be a lot of. I guess I really didn't know what to expect. So it was a lot of hip, it was a lot of low back, upper back, glute mobility, range of motion work, and mid upper lower back, shoulders. And even with the men's football, it was a lot of that. I mean, I did work a little bit more in pec work with some of with the football team, but for the most part, they talked a lot about the same things. I need hip loop work. I need work done on my hamstrings. I need work on my low back. I need stretching in my hip flexors. So it was a lot of the same stuff.
We talked last time, just to circle back to that, about not putting your intentions on the clients and the athletes that you're going to be dealing with. How did you make sure to let these young athletes lead with their intentions so you could add the most value?
I just asked them, what do you want?
Yeah.
That's it. I just said, how can I always start out, I give them eye contact, I shake their hand. Say, for example, hypothetically, it was an Ashley. I'd say, "Hi, Ashley, how are you? Great pleasure meeting you. How can I be of service to you today?" And I let them talk and I listened. I said, okay, we had a half hour per each athlete. So it had to be very clear of what we were doing. And then if I got done, I said, okay, listen, I'm done with everything you need. We got five more minutes. What else would you like me to work on? This is kind of what I've noticed in some of when I was when I was working on you. Would you like me to work on that? Or do you have an idea what you'd like me to work on? I just let them lead with what they wanted. And interesting enough, because they're there mostly because their athletic trainer told them that they need this, right? So with high level athletes, when their athletic trainer tells them that they need to go see someone else for something, you better listen. Like you better listen, because then it becomes an issue where if you don't listen, then the athlete goes back to the athletic trainer, and then athletic trainer is going to come to you and say, hey, and I don't even know who the athletic trainers is. It was just my first day there. I didn't get a chance to meet them, but it's like you don't want it to be a problem. If it becomes a problem, then you don't have a job.
Yeah. You guys have to work together because it's got to be client centered, right? So you guys have to communicate, work together. The young athlete, D1 has to be clear and precise about what they want. I love the fact that you said you just listen, you open your listening so you could
Yeah,
be at the highest service because it's short, small windows. You got a lot of people you're going to be seeing and you're able to add value to each and every one of them, man. That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that, man. Congratulations on your first day. I'm glad you had an amazing week and an amazing first day. That is just great. That's great. Let's get to the topic at hand. I know people have been waiting, and I want to get to these topics and talk about what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk a little bit about foam rolling and how some of the things that we've been able to do on our clients. We found that foam rolling is a good way to segue it so that they can help themselves at home. They can work on their fascia. There's some positives, there's some negatives, and we're just gonna open the conversation to talk about it. We'd love for you to like and subscribe and jot down in the comments your experience with foam rolling. If you've ever had to deal with someone that's rolling so hard it felt like your eyeballs were gonna pop out your head, or someone that was like barely getting the knot and you had to like really instruct them and you felt like you were better off doing it yourself, or have you just had a back massage from your partner and that's the most experience you've had with soft tissue manipulation or fascia manipulation? So, Ron, you've done some research. You've looked into this a little bit, right? As well as done it
absolutely.
for years. So what are some of your experiences and what are some of the things that you found? Talk about foam rolling.
Yeah. So before I get into some of the fun facts and some of the pros and cons I got from this article, my show notes, um, my actual first, even though I became a massage therapist and got licensed in '09, I really wasn't doing any foam rolling or anything that such. I wasn't using it. My first experience of widely using it is when I got hired to work in a performance-based gym. So I was hired in a performance-based gym. The gym, I got hired as the evening trainer and on-site massage therapist, and the strength coach Todd Cambio was a huge component of um, dynamic warm-up and foam rolling. Right. So it was also my first introduction into dynamic warm up. I understood the concept, I knew what it was, but it wasn't something I was really truly doing a whole lot with my clients. But he had a whole primal thing he had lined up. It was pretty sick how he did his dynamic warm up, man. He had like a
That's awesome.
gorilla, he had like a gorilla walk and everything.
Yeah, I remember seeing some of those animal movements
Yeah,
in the
some of the
dynamic
animal
movement.
movements, but he
Yeah.
incorporated all that stuff with the foam rolling, right? He had an entire foam rolling board, and when you came into the gym, he had a wall with hooks, and the hooks had foam rollers going up the walls. So as a client, once you learned how to foam roll and foam roll properly, you foam rolled everything. You just came in, you grabbed the foam roller, and you followed the board. And from there, you went into a dynamic warm up. The foam rolling and the dynamic warm up took about a good 20 minutes before we actually got into the workout. And from there I just saw the benefit of people being working under, like, say, their lats, working their glutes, working their hips, doing like working adductors. So I saw the benefit of it. And one of the things he actually said, and I always kept this phrase: it's a poor man's massage, right? So
It's
you know
true though. It's a $15 foam, condensed foam, and you can get some hard to reach places with it. Yeah.
absolutely. And I just saw that, if I am not there to uh, really foam roll to work on you, I can say, hey, this is what I need you to work on. You could do this at home, take you 5 minutes, and you can just get after it. It's so one of the pros for me is that I know that some of the bigger muscle groups, like the glutes, the hamstrings, the quads, like some of the muscles that are more superficial, you can definitely get into those muscle fibers and roll that. You can actually smooth out the superficial fascia and then actually create create that nice, good blood flow going in there.
Hmm.
So that's one of the pros. One of the cons for me is that it's not deep enough. Like you would, if you need to get into any deeper muscles or get in um, something more specific, you may need to use an actual Theragun, massage gun, to get into that muscle tissue, right?
Hmm.
Especially if you have a trigger point. If you have a trigger point, you're not always going to get in there with a foam roller. You may actually have to use a gun. Um, but some of the fun facts that I found out in the article is that, which I didn't know, foam rolling actually came out in the early 80s. I was
The
like, okay,
early 80s.
early 80s, right?
That's wild. Yeah. And I'll share a little bit about how I got into foam rolling.
My boy keep freezing
Just
up.
it's a little bit from National Academy of Sports Medicine. Started with the yeah. I caught a couple of freezes from you as
Hey,
well.
it's
We're
all
over here
good.
breakdancing. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, man.
Nice. Yeah. The National Academy of Sports Medicine is where I got certified. It was the big certification thing to do. It was like top tier, you know what I mean? $1,000 cert, $1,000+ cert. And then they broke it down to like, special needs and all these different categories. And foam rolling was a part of the original core stabilization phase and dynamic warm up. Like you said, it was there to help people understand how to uh, get to some hard to reach places so that their body would be limber and move. And either you did it before and or after your workouts, to get people moving. So I just wanted to share a little bit about I've been foam rolling and working with people and hands on with people for nearly 20 years. So it's been a long part of my history. And the foam rollers have evolved. They went from just foam to like vibrating foamers to, like you said, there are guns now where they're like handheld on. People can grab a piece of whatever it is, a high profile PSI gun and massage themselves. So it's gotten crazy since the 1980s, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I probably back in the 1980s, they were using PVC pipe, you know?
Yeah, that's those marshmallows, those like hard rolling sticks.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
probably
man.
just it's probably just like cookie rollers.
Cookie rollers, man. Going outside, cutting down tree logs, you know?
I don't know, man. The switch and the roller, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. So yeah, who founded foam rollers? Who was the guy who made it popular?
So the guy who made it popular, so it's and I'll just read it off. In 1987, there was use as self massage tools was pioneered by physical therapist Sean Gallagher. They all they are now used by millions of people across the globe. So people that are weight trainers, gymnasts, um, people in all kinds of fitness professionals, bodybuilders. So Sean Gallagher is kind of the person who brought it to fruition to make it more popular. Foam rollers were originally used by pioneers that followed and I don't know who this was. I didn't really research this. Flenkrais, Feldenkrais method of treatment to the body. So back then, early practitioners used it for more like balancing and stability versus actually foam rolling the body. But the person who actually brought it more to the market and made it popular throughout the body was a physical therapist, Sean Gallagher.
That's crazy. It's funny because I was connected with the guy Michael Cohen who made the AccuBall, the ball that's like half ball, half kind of lump. And you can
Okay,
put it on
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
wall and you
yeah.
can use it. Yeah, he's a really amazing man. We talked for a bit, learned a little bit more about him and who he is and why he brought that to the world. And it's the same concept, right? To help others get access to this massage, whether it's a cheaper version of a massage you can have access to at any time. I think of it as with a foam roller or an acupuncture ball or a Theragun or any of those tools where you can get some relief. And if you learn how to do it properly, which is where I think the coaching the fitness life coaching, the assistance, the walkthrough, not, and preferably live, not just a YouTube video where you're not getting any feedback on if you're doing things right, but someone who knows what to teach you and show you live. I think that's where the value lies in some of these products and how it can help. So what are some of the pros and cons?
I agree. So some of the pros I came up with out of this article, reduces muscle pain, including the management of certain pain syndromes like fibromyalgia, increased range of motion around the joints, make muscles more responsive to stretching, relaxation. It's a relatively safe way to self-massage tight muscles. So that's pretty much the benefit of what foam rolling can do. And I always press upon that's what can be used for. What I didn't really realize what a good benefit was for fibromyalgia. I didn't really think it was, because fibromyalgia, it says you're so sensitive to touch. So you lying your body down on something, pressing down on something, I really would have thought that it may be a good benefit, but apparently it is. So that's something I didn't know.
I'm thinking maybe that's the blood flow aspect of it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Open up some capillaries, getting some blood flow in, getting the red blood cells to go into any of the scar tissue areas, or the highly scarred or damaged areas, or the areas that have a lot of fascia issues and tightness. Maybe it's not a forward and backward rubbing. Maybe it's more time under tension, like waiting for 30 seconds or 60 seconds for that to release, versus the constant rubbing back and forth and creating that friction.
Gotcha.
But really interesting concept. And, just to break it up a little bit, I have some pros and cons from my experience. And
Gotcha.
I mean, I remember back in 2006 and 7 when I first got started and was training out of Chris Wade Personal Fitness Experts. It was a boutique fitness center. We did high-level training. We trained all sorts of amazing human beings who have accomplished so many things, and they were go-getters. They were hungry, and they wanted high-level coaching. And I remember we'd go into this room. We had a massage room. It was a stretching table room. It was like Zen, It's supposed to be relaxing.
Right.
And some of the clients would want us to roll their calves, and they'd be like, "You gotta roll it harder." And I mean, we'd have these freaking foam roll sticks, and I swear, I'd be bending it. I'd be worried that it's gonna snap and the thing's gonna hit me in the face, because they're like, "It's not hard enough." And I'm like, "Are you insane? You're gonna bite the freaking table off."
Right.
And I'd be sweating, and then like, oh man, I could only imagine what the auction would have went for clients that wanted to foam roll us after a session like that, because it was intense. And the question that I have now that I'm older and been doing it for so many years is, what I recognize is you don't have to be so hard.
No.
We do want that tension, but you don't have to be so hard. You don't have to, because if you're causing the muscle damage, or if you're causing the muscle pain, and the body is responding in a negative way, wouldn't that let the Golgi tendon organ lock up the muscle spindles and cause the muscle spindles and the fibers to tighten, which is counterintuitive to trying to relax and release?
That's right. I agree with that. I do agree with that.
So it's wild what you did what you would do for your clients, is you're like, this is what you want? Sure, okay. Sometimes you think back at it and you're like, man, I don't know what that was, but I was just a young, unexperieused.
We go through it all, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I can tell you, starting out as a massage therapist doing sports massage, I kind of had a hardcore view on what that was. I was like, no pain, no gain. No, it's not like that. Even when my clients even say, hey, no pain, no gain, I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't work that way.
No,
you have to work the tissue in layers.
Yes.
You can't go in. It's the same thing with foam rolling. Like for me, I foam roll every day, and what I use for a foam roller, I use a deep tissue foam roller. I mean, the knobs come off the foam roller like this. I mean, they're that big, right? So it's really hard It was actually a pretty expensive foam roller. I think I paid like $70 for it. So it was a high quality one, but you know what? I got to the point where the regular foam roller wasn't doing anything for me, and it wasn't getting in. So it's a deep tissue foam roller. So everyone's different. It has a different pain tolerance, but at the same time, like my co-host Cliff is saying, it's just you can't just go into the tissue. You can damage the tissue. You really have to understand layering, and then even as somebody that's working out. Um, you got to find the foam roller that fits you and what works for you.
Mm.
Um, but
Break that down a little bit. Break that down. Find a foam roller that fits you, because I think what we're moving into now is how many different types of foam rolling options they have since the 1980s. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's, like you said, $70 foam rollers. There's $100 foam rollers with vibrations in it. Then there's the $15 long ones. Then there's the extra long ones. Like, how do people know what's for them?
High knobs, low knobs. I saw actually a clever foam roller that when I was out working at the Olympic trials last year. It was a collapsible foam roller. So it was this big. It had little knobs on it, and you took two strings and you pop it, and it came up, and you can flatten it and shove it in your bag. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so it's kind of hard to say what is the best foam roller for you. What I typically do is, when in my gym, in my personal gym that I own and have, I just have a generic round smooth foam roller, because I can't, and I have probably like 7 of those, and then I have my one deep tissue one. But I know that someone that never really foam rolled before, never got into foam rolling, and like you said before, Cliff, you have to be a good coach, right? So you have to get them on the foam roller and work with them, and then just work within their tolerance. So if you have just that nice smooth foam roller, I always say that's the best to start out with, because you don't know. And there's different brands, different qualities. I usually, if I want a good quality one, there's a company here in Warwick called Perform Better. They're actually a nationwide company. I usually say, check them out. They always have good deals on their foam rollers. But I would just say start out with a nice smooth one. You can start out with a small one or a long one. I like the longer ones because you can kind of do a lot of mobility stuff with the foam roller. And just start with that. And just, if you don't know what you're doing, just I guess if you're starting out on your own, you're not in the gym with a professional. I would say, I know YouTube. I always say go to YouTube, but just you could YouTube it, or actually go seek out a professional that can help you out with that.
Yeah, or DM us. Hit us up on the DMs.
Or hit us up on the DM. Hey, that's right. That's what we do in this podcast. So you can
they're here for us.
Dude, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, man.
They're asking us to lead the way.
You're right, man. I'm still learning, man. It's all new stuff.
What you're doing is you're being completely authentic, and it's honest and truthful. We want you to seek the right type of help, and if it's not us, and if we're not in the circle, or if we're not in the facility where we can reach out to, because we're obviously in our own different states and stuff like that, we want to make sure we can get you the right help you need. That's what's important. And so I agree. I think a longer foam roller, like the 12-incher, the extra long one that you can put both legs on, you can lay on, and you can turn it vertical, lay on it that way. You can get in your adductors a little easier with it. It's a bigger piece, but it's easier to kind of feel comfortable on. You don't feel like you're always going to fall off of it. I think that's a good place to start, especially depending on your age and where you are. If you're older and may have carpal tunnel stuff going on or elbow stuff going on, you're definitely going to want to bigger, more comfortable foam roller that's not too hard to start. And as you get comfortable with the movements and the placement of your body, so you can hit the parts of your body you need to hit to help release that tension or the tightness or whatever's causing the uncomfortability, or just to warm up, then you can move into something more dramatic and advanced. But I always say there's nothing wrong with modifying. You can always modify to the point where you're comfortable, everything's working, your form is right, you're breathing well, and all of those different metrics that we look at to make sure things feel good and are going well are going well. You know what I mean? Do you have any funny stories that you want to we get to our close here?
I don't really have any funny foam rolling stories. Um, I wish I really wish I had some. I can't think. Oh, I would say, I guess one of my most funniest foam rolling stories. And I do want to share some cons too, some additional cons that so people understand that there may be certain conditions where you can't foam roll as well. But
Yes,
one of
please.
my stories that I have is I was teaching a woman how to foam roll, and I'm gonna say this is the foam roller, right? So she's going through the foam roller, and all of a sudden she's like rolling and hugging it and turning around and trying to, like, she just got really crazy with it. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm trying to do the foam roller, and she just kept rolling on the floor. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Like she's kind of hugging it and like rolling on the floor with it. And I was like, you need to slow down. What are you doing? So I guess that was kind of one of my funny stories. And me and her just started cracking up. And like I was just really just trying to get her to foam roll like the inside of her, inside of here, inside of her adductor, inside her adductors. And she just kept like rolling around on the floor with it. So yeah, so that was one of my funny stories. You you paused on me, bro. So listen, I'm gonna go ahead and Cliff is having some technical difficulties on this side, so I'm gonna go ahead and just read off some cons of foam rolling. So due to it, so it's kind of a little bit of a paragraph, so I'm just gonna read it verbatim. Due to their widespread availability, foam rollers can be purchased by anyone, even though they may not be as suitable tool to use for that particular person. There are certain conditions and circumstances where use of a foam roller could be determined detrimental or damaging to a person's body. All right. Foam rolling, exercising, load, and stress the underlying tissue, including nerves, skin receptors, blood and lymphatic vessels, as well as bones. People with conditions including advanced diabetes, mellitus, lymphedema, varicose veins, and uh, severe osteoporosis should avoid this form of exercise unless advised otherwise by a medical professional. When recovering from a muscle strain, a foam roller may be a handy thing to have around, but rolling over a torn muscle should be avoided in the early stages of injury and until you've been given the all clear by a therapist. Rolling over an actually torn muscle could hinder the repair of the muscle and at the very least would be incredibly uncomfortable and painful. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like you don't. Oh gosh, I've torn a couple on my left leg,
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately. So that's great information. It puts it into perspective. I've avoided varicose veins. I also never roll pregnant women.
Yeah.
I don't roll their calves, right? Because it could induce labor. Uh, that's what they said.
I
So
don't know.
I
I
said,
think with pregnant women, if you do this, it can induce labor. I don't
I
know, man.
said,
They got
I
these pressure
said,
points, you know.
yeah, the triggers.
Weird.
I said, I'm not going to do that to anyone who doesn't. Nope, that's not my lane. That's not my lane. So it's too funny, man. Yeah, awesome, awesome. I've had clients with MS. I've had clients with um, other issues, autoimmune issues. We all are on some spectrum, some way, shape, or form. Some of my clients we just took a lot of care and focus and understanding into where they are, what they wanted to do, how we can get them there safe, how we can get them there healthy, how we can get them there happy, so they don't give up on this thing, right? Because motivation is one thing, and yeah, it's important to be motivated. But when that's dry, what's going to get you to come back the next day? What's going to get you to stay consistent? right? Whether it's your caloric deficit you're chasing after, or if it's just maintaining body mass or maintaining strength or managing your body mass index or your body fat percentage for whatever your goals are, getting into that wedding dress or just getting, getting into that gown before you go to see the reunion in your class, whatever it is. We all have our goals. And so how does foam rolling add to making sure the workout and recovery as well?
Yeah.
And it's meaningful and it's purposeful and it's going to make you feel good. And that's why I believe mobility is so important. The more mobile we are, the deeper our muscles will bend and move and flex, and eccentric, isometric, and concentric movements will feel better. You'll feel stronger. That's what it's all about, right? I mean, I want to be able to balance. I'm not really here or there if I'm 80 years old with a six pack. Cool. I'd rather be 80 years old, able to balance on a leg that I went through football and tore my ACL and tore my MCL on.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'd rather be able to have that. That's just my particular way of seeing health, wellness, and fitness. I really don't look at it as, am I a God body? That's cool and all. I respect it. And hell, I am a God body. I know what's in here. You know what I mean? I know what my 8% looks like. But like, I also want to make sure that I'm healthy, that I'm growing mobile, that I'm growing stable, and that my skeletal system, my nervous system, and my muscular system aren't burnt out, aren't overtraining, aren't in a place where I can't, simply bend down or sit on the floor or play with my kids.
Right.
Where are you at with that?
Yeah, so I am a firm believer of what you're saying. So as far as, you create, just make sure as we age, right? And I've seen this because I work out of a chiropractic clinic, and it's interesting. I have one client that I see. I go to her house and I see her and her mom. Her mom is 78. She's out there mowing the lawn. She's out there doing full yoga. She's out there doing everything. But she understands the importance of mobility and functionality. So she does exercise on a basis. She understands, she grew up on a farm, so she understands hard work and how to move her body. But then I have clients who I see at the chiropractic clinic who are in their 60s and early 70s, and they're walking like this. And you always wondered what in their life led them up to having that lack of mobility. Was it because they didn't focus on the stretching, mobilization? They didn't focus on proper diet. They didn't focus on. So there's so many variables on why they're not like that. And me, I want to be that client who's 78, who can still go out there and mow the lawn, who can still go out there and pick up my grandchildren and have fun or hang out. I still want to be people. I want somebody to look at me when I'm 80 and said, "Man, you still handsome, man. You look like you're 50 years old." And that you're still doing those things, because I do mobility. I get up in the morning, and it's so funny. I was like in the stretching position downstairs, and my sister-in-law came down like, "Are you okay?" I looked at her, I'm like, "I'm stretching." She's like, "You just looked like you in a weird position." I said, "It's called stretching." So I spend 20 minutes. I talk the talk, right? So I foam roll every day. For about 10 minutes, and then I do another 20 minutes of stretching and mobility work first thing in the morning. Regardless if I decide to work out that morning or not, that's what I do. So I am on this podcast talking about this, but I also talk to walk the talk, if I'm saying it right. So
you walk the walk and talk the talk. No, I do the same, man. I have my Theragun I use. My sister got me a new one for Christmas because my old one was stolen out of my backpack. Long story short, we don't have to go there for another podcast. But so I love that thing. I have 3 foam rollers. I have a couple big ones in the garage. I have my small one here in the back of the studio where I show people how to do it, my mat, and I do it myself regularly. I need to do it so when I get off of this chair, so that my piriformis doesn't tighten up, since I've been crossing my legs while I've been talking, just staying present with my 5 checkpoint method and how it will help me improve my mobility. And so that's exactly what we're about, So thank you so much. This was a great episode. I really think we touched on a lot of different topics, a lot of
I
different
did.
ways foam rolling can hit that. I know we're not done. I know we're going to talk about a little bit more. Trust me, but
Oh, absolutely. I strongly believe that even every episode we're going to reflect a little bit on the last. And I think it even in some of the episodes where we might get into something where something may not necessarily reflect, but it would just overlap something we talked about. And that's the beauty of having these episodes recorded, because even though we could always talk, say, hey, we could be on episode 50, but like, hey, episode 3, this is what we talked about. And we're always going to hit on that stuff because we are the mobility bros. This is what we talk about.
exactly, exactly. And with all the technical difficulties, this thing up, make it beautiful. And we appreciate everyone who is listening, everyone who has questions, everyone who comments and shares. The support is felt. Ron, thank you for introducing me to your network and your network of people. Just by putting me on your platforms, man, I appreciate it. And I'm honored to share you to my platforms. Your knowledge is massive, and what you're doing over there in Yukon is exciting, and all of your past history is also exciting. And your clothing line, we could talk about all these fun things, man.
Yeah. That's soon to come, man. We'll talk more about that, man. I got some stuff I'm gonna be launching for October, but yeah, we can definitely talk about that as well.
Yeah, I just want to thank again our sponsor. We do have a sponsor. It's Alternative Balance Insurance. It's insurance for trainers, dog walkers, masseuse, acupuncturists. We'll have a link in the bottom of this video if you want to go and check it out. The insurance is extremely affordable. We use it here at Fitness Essentials. It covers our online courses as well as our in-person courses, and it covers our satellite locations as well. So it's great to have. It's over 3 million coverage. That's Alternative Balance, our sponsor for this video. So we are hyped that we are moving forward, man, and we're going to continue to lay out and bring some honest, integrous knowledge.
That's awesome. We're also sponsored by Be Legendary Athletic Apparel, where you could get the best in that leisure wear and performance. And the link is the lowercase b dash legendaryathleticapparel.com. And there, I will put a code in for a 20% off for that sponsor, for our sponsor.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for sponsoring the video, and we appreciate it. Please go ahead and check out that athletic apparel. Enjoy that link, and we will talk to you on the next one.
All right, gonna close you out. Here we go. Stay awesome, keep stepping your greatness, and be legendary.
Be legendary. Let's go. Bye.